Today I'd like to talk to you about the exchange variation of the Queen's Gambit. A lot of Queen's Gambit players tend to be very good when it comes to the main lines that they like playing, but then they really get themselves into trouble when Black pulls out something like the Cambridge Springs or one of the offbeat lines, with a bishop b4 at some stage. We'll just switch to the board and get straight into this. Of course, when I talk about the Queen's Gambit, I'm actually just referring to the Queen's Gambit declined here, so d4, d5, c4. I'm not going to discuss the Slav or the accepted. I'm only really going to talk about the decline, so with e6. Knight c3, knight f6. So usually the main line of the Queen's Gambit is bishop g5, and there's a million and one things that Black can do here, but a lot of people tend to be getting in trouble against things like the c6 bishop here, queen here, knight here type things. What I'm going to recommend, the exchange variation, simply avoids all of these lines. White can sort of dictate the play on their own terms. So on move 4, I'll just go back again just so everyone can see the exact moves. d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, and you can do it against bishop e7 as well. Knight f6, c takes d5, c takes d5. This is exchange variation. The idea now, White has cut Black out of their Cambridge Springs, their Lasker variation, their Carlsbad variation, I think. All of the main lines that sort of Black dictates the play in are gone. Now it's White who dictates the play. It's White's variation, the exchange variation. Here, develop bishop normally. It's also possible to play the exchange with bishop f4, but normal development, bishop g5, bishop e7, and now, very, very important move, very strong move, queen c2. And an important move because we prevent bishop f5. It's amazing how many chess players kind of think it's all about them. A lot of the time they play chess and they think, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to get my bishop here, I'm going to do this, blah, 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 blah. They tend to forget there's someone else playing the game too, and the person who's playing is trying to beat them just as much as they are trying to beat that person. And a move like this really demonstrates that sort of thing. It really addresses the issue that Black is trying to win this game too. Black wants to develop their bishop here on f5. So White plays queen c2, develops the piece properly. You sort of have these themes now, and prevents Black from developing at the most sensible square. Black inevitably plays c6, and now you continue with your normal Queen's Gambit development. e3, Black will castle, then bishop d3, so already you've got a threat. You're threatening to take here, and pick off this pawn. So to address the issue, Black will either play knight here or h6. We'll say h6. Now, interesting line here. Here's where it starts diverging, and there's three different plans here. I'll come back to h6 because I'll just sort of show the main developing systems. Black will either h6 or knight here, and White's got three different strategies now. Now, the first one is a very simple strategy, and I'll do it after knight bd7. It's a simple old school minority attack. This is a sort of thing the grandfathers of the chess club will be playing. The old guys who are there every day. They'll play knight f3, castles, bishop takes knight, knight recaptures. When the bishop comes out to here, you simply play knight d2. And now your plan's very easy. It's basically put the rooks here, b4, a4, b5, bang, 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 minority attack. I've actually done another video like this on the minority attack, so look that one up and it'll show you the exact strategies of the minority attack. That's the old style, the really old school variation of old school technique of how to play this system. But there's actually some more modern ideas now, some different ways of playing it. Now the first one is after possibly h6, and it's actually a piece sacrifice, h4. So the idea is you don't castle kingside, you essentially just go Burko toward the king. So obviously they can't really take. If they're not getting mated here, they're very, very close. You're just going to smash the black king. There's no way they can take that and survive. So h4, knight develops to e2 rather than to f3. And then castle queenside, move your rook to g1, play g4, knight g3. Sometimes you don't have to use g4, you can put the knight here anyway, but you tend to find g4 is useful if you've got the rook here. And just basically go after the king. Of course we'll look at the position on its merits. It depends where black has pieces. All of these type systems depend where black has actually put his pieces or her pieces. The third strategy is kind of a little bit of a cross between both. It's ambitious yet conservative at the same time. And that's to, yes, develop the knight at e2, but then to castle kingside and play f3 and push e4 in the centre. So it's more a strangling type system where you try to control most of the board, and it's quite common you'll end up with a pawn structure like this. So something that looks more like, say, maybe an e4, e5 opening rather than a queen's gambit. So three strategies, and what I like about it suits three different styles of player. The minority attack suits the conservative positional player who's not going to take so many risks. The castle's queenside line is going to suit the player who just loves to attack at all costs, and this line's going to suit people who are, I suppose, somewhere in the middle. I'll just quickly go through some ideas for black, because of course you may end up on the black side of this. For black, knight here is the main move, defending the knight. So after swap, you're not going to lose the pawn. Black will sometimes throw this in, not always. If black does, and you don't want to play the piece sack line, bishop h4 is fine. Rook plays to e8. Knight comes back to f8. And the knight, if the pawn's still here, the knight will sometimes develop itself this way. But if it's here, you obviously can't do that because you'll lose a pawn. Knight will develop itself to this square. The black bishop often comes out here, particularly if the knight's on this square. If the knight's here, you can kick that bishop quite nicely. It can end up here though. And black will very slowly try to weasel their way out of the position. If you're playing a line with f3, the piece exchanges tend to favour black, whereas if you're playing a minority attack line, the piece exchanges tend to favour white. So it all depends on what style you want to play the game. What I will say is the system tends to be something which can suit all sorts of players. So there's something for everybody in it. So it doesn't matter whether you're a positional player or an aggressive one. There should be something for you in the exchange variation of the Queen's Gambit. Good luck with it.